my God, that is who you are. You. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You are listening to Source of Information, the only place where you could get newsworthy information and information that you could rely on. So when you hear Gilbert Franklin, you hear Source of Information. When you hear Source of Information, you hear Gilbert Franklin. As usual, you could always reach me at 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. You could always go on WSRF 1580 AM and subscribe and see us live every time that we are on the air. Today's topic is HIV/AIDS, and we're going to get a little bit about this topic. And, most likely, well, let me not predict put something out in the air. But as usual, the line's going to be open. And this is a subject that at one point it was taboo. But I don't believe nowadays so much taboo because there's so much information about HIV/AIDS and so many people that's living with it. And you probably come across one every single day. So at first it was a type of disease that once you get it, then you just wait for you to die. It's no longer that. People are living with it, HIV, and it's, I can't say it's cure. We're going to discuss that in the second hour, but it's control. The viral load is control where they can't, once they do a blood test, they can hardly detect it by a certain medication. It would, well, let me continue this way. Before explaining what HIV/AIDS is, I think let me do it now, and then we're going to get more into the medications, because the medication has been, it's one thing that's been keeping me up at night during the past couple of weeks, because once you have certain responsibility, then and certain responsibilities are thrown at you, then you have to find a solution. And fortunately, I was able to find a solution for that. And I won't go into detail about it, but we'll just leave it as that. What is, first of all, let's give you the definition of HIV, okay? HIV is the virus that causes AIDS. It damages your immune system and making it easier for you to get sick. HIV spread during sex, but condoms can help protect you. The definition of HIV is a human immunodeficiency virus. Excuse me one second. So we're gonna let's talk about the medication. One of the things with HIV and AIDS, they've made a very good stride in terms of finding a medication that really controls it. But what they had to do was basically bring 2 or 3 medication together in order for them to find a solution. If I have a call, I'll take it. So in order to find a solution for it. Now, that was a good thing, but on the flip side, those medications are very expensive. For example, one medication for HIV, that particular medication, I'm not here to promote the pharmaceutical. They've done a very good job of promoting themselves. You cannot go an evening watching TV and without seeing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ads about a particular, several HIV medication. But there's one in particular that really apparently it does a very good job, because then to the point where when you go and do a lab test, the viral load no longer appear in the lab. So what that means that you can't pass it on to somebody else if there's no viral loads that appear in your blood test. But that medication costs $7,000 a month. So this is where a lot of people have concerns, because if you have a medication that's cost $7,000, how are you as an individual going to be able to afford to pay for that medication? And we're going to get more into that. There's other medications that comes along, and they're around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So now, what in 2026, that's when the reality is going to set in, because the price of these medications is going to remain the same, but the co-payment. So the subsidies that was in place since I would say since COVID, there's a lot of subsidies that was in place for COVID in order to allow you to get your medication with no problem. Those are no longer in existence. In 2026, a lot of those medication now you will start seeing the effect of the copayment, the effect of the subsidies which they have taken away. 305-954-1580, 305-954-1580. So if you do have questions, feel free to call. Call for a friend, call for a family member, but get the information, okay? And much more of it's going to be available in Creole in the next hour. But this hour I want to concentrate on the English version, and not so much the medical aspect of it. I'm going to leave that to Dr. Samuelis to discuss the medical aspect of it. But I want to talk about basically what you're going to be experiencing this coming year. And by far, we're not targeting just HIV medications, because it's going to be like that throughout across the board. Whether it's your diabetes medication, whether it's your blood pressure medication. So there's going to be different levels, and those levels we discuss the amount that it's going to cost in terms of co-payment for you when it comes down to these medications. Some you may not pay any co-payment for, but some you're going to have a big co-payment for, $35 to $50. And that's already taking your low-income subsidy into consideration. So what do? We attack the medication that's going to have the highest co-payment, and that's really affecting the industry as a whole. If you recall when a certain company had bring in the Flex card and the OTC card together and merge it, a lot of clinic was complaining about it because they weren't making money at that time. Well, it's the same thing with this medication when it's within the confinement of a medical center, and that medical center have to absorb that cost. So remember how, in terms of Part D, how it works. When you are taking a medication, that medication, you allow a certain amount. I believe it's $3,500 for the year in terms of your medication. So anything above that eventually is going to come out of your pocket. So when you reach what they call the donut hole, then for that period of time that you are in the donut hole, you're going to be responsible for the cost of the medications. Now, when you reach the next level, which is catastrophic, then the health plan is going to come back, step back in and say, okay, we're going to take it over, because it's at a point where if you're not taking the medication, then you're going to end up in a hospital. So at that point, the plan will come back and say, we'll pay for the medication, because realistically, if you end up in a hospital, it's going to cost more in terms of the cost of your hospital stay, even if it's 3 days, even if it's for an hour. It's going to be much more than the medication cost. So the plan decided, well, if you reach a catastrophic, then we'll step in and pay for it. And in most cases, that's what you're going to see, where a lot of people next year, you will end up in the donut holes and have no medication for a period of time. Now, what the doctors have been doing, and they've done a very good job at that, what they've been doing is prescribing you of giving you brand name, but giving you generic. And it's the same thing. When you compare the generic and the brand name, it's basically the same thing. What they've done is that company that produced the brand, after 25 years, that company is allowed to come in with the same medication, selling it at a cheaper price, but simply make a small adjustment on that medication. So now they have two products on the market. So it could be product A and but product B. Product A and B are, in a sense, competing, but everybody's going towards a cheaper price one, and the company continue to make profit. Now, the HIV drugs in Africa and Haiti and throughout the Caribbean, they're much cheaper than they are right here in the United States. And partly because the pharmaceutical market, as you could, I don't know if you guys remember, it was just recently that Medicare is allowed to negotiate the price of prescription drug with the pharmaceutical. And that took a lot from our respective lawmakers to agree on that, because their hands are in the pocket of the pharmaceutical. So now the Bush administration, the son, has done an extremely great job on providing those medication in Africa. So people in Africa are getting a very low cost of HIV medication. In some cases, they're not paying for them, and same thing for Haiti. But right here, we have to concentrate on right here, right now. A lot of our people here, if it weren't for Medicare and Medicaid, that helps them, and other programs that there's other company program that's out there that we aren't aware of it. This morning I had a meeting over the phone with a particular company that's there to help And what they've done is, and most likely once I have a second meeting with them, what I want to do is basically let you guys know what opportunity that's out there. So if you're in a situation where you're unable to pay for your medication, then you have somewhere to go. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. And we'll make that information available to you where you could call, have your doctor send your prescription there. They will process the medication, find out if you are different program that you eligible for, and then send you the medication, even deliver it for you. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. We're going to have a much bigger, much concise information for you regarding HIV/AIDS. Then we'll get a definition from Dr. Samuelis in another 30 to 40 minutes about that in the second portion of this show. So 2026, be expected that you're going to have a higher copay. Expect that throughout all your medication. If it's a generic, no, you may not see it. But if it's a brand name, you will see it. And so far, I think HIV/AIDS have been out since the 80s, and it's more than 20 years, 25 years. So a lot of people there should have been a generic that comes out, but that's one drug that there's no generic that comes out. It's only brand names. So expect the higher copayment. Expect that in certain cases about $35 to $45. That's what I was quoted earlier. The copayment is going to be around that amount. But what the way we can help you, the way we could help you is basically give you that information, and with that prescription, take that prescription to that particular location, and they will be able to fill it for you. All right? So when the time is right, we'll provide you with that information after we've finished collecting all the necessary information that we need. Okay. One other thing that I had promised you guys, that Alto Health is going to be doing the long-term care applications. I've started one and still working on it, and we hope to be more proficient in doing it and getting the right help. We had a young lady, and she did come on and talk. She was going to help us with filing for those applications and long-term care applications. We hope to be able to do it ourselves, but that's something that's we're still working on. It's a process that we're still working on, and in Alto Health, we do our best to help in the best way that we could possibly can. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. And let me hear from you. If not, we're going to move on from this subject. At the beginning of the next year, in January, everyone that's receiving Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, spousal benefits, child care benefits, survival benefits, spousal benefits, SSI, you will receive a 2.8% of increase. The 2.8% of increase represent the cost of living adjustment for 2026. Now, let me explain to you what does that mean. The short version is that it's their way of making sure that your buying power stay intact for 2026. But there's a flaw in that system because they've taken the data from October to come up with an inflationary target. So the inflation around October was at 3%, and they gave you 2.8. Now, thus far, if we look up what the inflation rate is, the last time I looked at it, it was already at 3%. And everybody are hurting right now. Everybody are talking about it. So when come in January, when you get that increase, by that time, the 2.8%, you may have lose that entire. You may lose the entire percentage because of inflation. So, how many of you have gone to the market, and when you look at in your basket or in the cart, and you ask yourself a question? What did I get for my money? Did I get the full value for my money? When you compare it with the previous year. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. So that is a question that you're going to be asking yourself, and that is the question that we're going to ask each other. So, do we have a solution for it right now? And what is the intention? Okay. So, since the decision has already been made for us, and yet the only thing we could do is just go along, they've already picked a percentage of increase. But I have a feeling that even if they had put the increase at 3%, but what happened to the rest of the year? Remember a couple of years ago when they give you, I believe at the time, an increase of 5%, 5.7%. And by mid-year, you had already lost 50% of your purchasing power. So right now, the best thing we could do is wait and see and hope for the best. Also, when it comes to in January, your premium for the Part B premium will be going up to $206.50. Now, there's some solution that's out there, and for those of you who's not eligible for Medicare, I'm sorry, not Medicare, Medicaid, where we could apply for you. If you're making less, I'm not going to quote the income now because I'm not going to have the time to really do the research for you. Maybe I'll be able to do it. I don't know. We're going to try. Income level for 2026. How much is going to be? I'm going to get that information for you. We'll try for food stamp, for example, what the income level is going to be, stamp eligibility, 130% of federal poverty level. So, and we could use the same for a household with a size of one person. The gross monthly income limit is $1,696. So you're going to find this to remain to be true across the board. For the size of 2 is $2,292, and size of 3, member of the household, $2,888, and the size of 4 is $3,483. For each person, additional person add $596 to the gross monthly income limit. So we could actually basically use those same stats for anyone that's going to be eligible for the state of Florida to pay the Part B premium for you. So that's something that, if you're eligible for it, we were able to assist you in the office to get this program and have you save the $206.50 where the state of Florida is going to be paying it for you. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. And by the way, one thing that I want you guys to do is subscribe. Right on your screen, there's a button that says subscribe. You press that button. Go in there and subscribe. Press like. The information that you're getting now, it will always be relevant. Not until that they find a cure for AIDS, the information will continue to be relevant. You will continue to get information regarding the cost of living adjustment. That's relevant. You will continue to hear information about prescription drugs, how it impact on the impact that it has on your life. So I would suggest that you subscribe. Make sure whenever we're on the air that you get this information, you're able to share it, and you're able to go back and look at it and share it and use it as a source of information whenever it's necessary, whenever it's needed. So the number to call right now, in the event that you have any question, 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. But yeah, we are live on WSRF 1580 AM, both on Facebook and YouTube. Now, low-income subsidy, what is it? Low-income subsidy, it's a subsidy. They basically subsidize your medication for you. So they pay a portion of your medication. This is a program that came under Judge W. Bush back in the 70s. No, I'm sorry, not 70s. Forgot the year, but during the Bush administration, the son, he came up with the low-income subsidy, and still today it still remains very relevant in our lives. It still pay a portion of your medication for you without you realizing it. And it's still continue to have an impact on your life. The way it works is that, again, all these programs are income-based programs, which means that if you pass, for example, if we're using the food stamp income limit, if you pass $1,696, then you're not going to be eligible for it. Some people, naturally, you're not going to be eligible for these programs. let me put that out there right now. It's not everyone that's going to be eligible for this program. Definitely not everyone. Not everyone's not going to be eligible for this program. So what we're going to do, for those of you that's not going to be eligible for this program, remember, based on certain income that you have, you're not going to be eligible for low-income subsidy. You're not going to be able to be eligible for Medicaid or food stamp or SNAP, as they call it now. Those programs, if you're making from Social Security $2,000 a month, forget about being eligible for any programs. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. So the low income subsidize the cost of your medication. It pays for a portion. So if you have Medicaid, Medicaid would cover a portion, and your plan will cover a portion. So in terms, you get those medication at no cost. Now, there's certain medication, of course, even after you apply the low-income subsidy, even after you apply the Medicaid, even after you apply the plan, then you're still going to end up with a co-payment because they're using a brand name drugs. They're using a brand name drugs. So even when you apply all these subsidies, and Medicaid could be considered as a subsidy. When you apply all those programs, and what it does basically is cover a portion of the medication for you. Now, how do you apply for low-income subsidy? It's very simple. We could do that directly with Social Security. There's an online application that we could file for it, and you get the response in the mail. It's very, very easy. For Medicaid, we will apply for Medicaid for you as well. When you come to us and you sit down, and we'll talk about the benefits of having Medicaids, and the benefits of having low-income subsidy, and the benefit of having a Medicare Advantage plan that provides you with a Part D for your prescription drug plan, and where it does not cost you anything for you to join that plan. Now, we talked about low-income subsidy for prescription drugs. And we already warned you that you should be expecting to start seeing co-payment. Those days of having zero co-payment for your prescription drugs, they are over. Now, I'm saying that, but I know next year a lot of people will be calling me and ask me, why do they have a co-payment? And I'll explain it again. Because all those subsidies that during COVID they had in place to subsidize your prescription costs, those are removed. And that is a result of how you voted this past election. A lot of people say, hey, I'm going to vote this way. And now you're paying for your vote. You're paying for your vote. And there's no, you're going to have to sit there and marinate for the next 2 years, about 3 years regarding that. And hopefully that the next administration will come in and make some adjustment. And Hopefully that we could survive that moment. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. So I wish you guys the best, because next year is going to be an interesting year. But let me not be so doom and gloom. I think we've always managed to survive any opportunity that is placed in front of us. I think I'm gonna take the high road and stay optimistic, and we're gonna find a way through it. I think I said God directed me towards this opportunity for those that most vulnerable, because when I was reading the definition of HIV, how the virus, when your immune deficiency is attacked, then you've become vulnerable to any viruses, any infection that hits you. So at Alto, we are doing our part to make sure that, yes, you get your medication, yes, you stay with your doctor, yes, you get help, not only the low-income subsidy, but you get a greater help from different organizations. That's what they do, and you get those help to pay for your expensive medication. To pay for your expensive medication. So I think I believe that we will find a way to overcome those prices, and probably I'm hoping that somewhere along the line that they'll come with a term of and midterm of or somewhere, and make some adjustment in the prescription drug, because the way we go, and it's not going to be ideal. Again, 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. I think we should talk about a little bit, for those of you that's TPS holders, that starting February, they will, the current government will abolish TPS as it's known right now. And those of you, basically all we could tell you is that stay put, stay out of harm's way, and trying to survive the next couple of years. Hopefully, when come to the midterm election, something may happen and make so we could find a huge difference. I could tell you to call me, but I'm not an expert on TPS. And if you call me regarding that, I'll refer you to somebody who's more of an expert on TPS than I am. But let's stay positive and hope for the best regarding TPS. That's all I have on that. That's not my forte, so I'm not going to continue talking about that. But bear in mind that a lot of you, by February, you got up until February. And so be very careful out there and pray. Okay? The next 14 minutes, what I would like to discuss is basically, there are some of you out there that's 65 plus, and basically you have not worked a sufficient amount in the United States for you to have your Medicare. Well, at Alto Health, we have a way of helping you get your Medicare and then have the state paying for it at the same time. If you've been in the United States and been a card holder a resident card holder for 5 years, what we could do is apply for Medicaid for you, then apply for Social Security through Medicare through Social Security. Then you'll get a denial letter. With that denial letter, we could take it to Department of Children and Family. Department of Children and Family will basically gives you a letter of approval for QMB. Then by taking that letter to Social Security, then Social Security will create a Medicare number for you. And we'll get you started. I made it sound very well, since we on the air. I made it sound very easy, but it's not. It's a process. It takes a long couple of months, at the very least, to get that through the system as we know it. But we will, for those of you who need help regarding that, to help you get your Medicare, both Part A and Part B. In some cases, what we've seen that they start with one part first, whether it may be Part B first, and then later on they come in and give you the Part A, or vice versa. So if that's the case, then don't panic. Then we'll come back and apply for the part that you have not received. And in most cases, what they've done is they gave you one, and after a period of time, then they'll also give you the other. And when I'm talking about a period of time, it may take a month or two. I remember I did an application many years ago for this lady that's she hasn't been with us for a while now. And when I went to her in Pompano, oh, by the way, big shout out to the Baptist Church, First Baptist Church in Pompano, for the welcome mat that they had extended towards me. So a big shout out to everyone in Pompano, all of our patients that's out there. So we appreciate the welcome mat that you guys rolled out for me this past Saturday for the Senior Appreciation Day. All right, so I want to mention that to all the people in Pompano. All right, we appreciate you. So, yes. What my memory just slipped. What were we discussing? So yes, we were talking about. Anyway, it escaped me for now. And I think we were talking about. Anyway, 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. Give me a call because for some reason I just the topic what we were discussing just escaped me. So let me hear from somebody. 305-945-1580. Let me see who's the first person that's going to call me and said and help me in remembering what I was talking about. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. So thank you for the people in Pompano for welcoming me. It's been a long time since I've been in that area, and it was nice seeing all the old faces. Okay, but yes. We were talking about how to help you get your Medicare card. So I was about to mention how, and the way it happened, how I helped an individual. She's no longer with us, but from time to time she comes to my memory. We're talking about none other than the late Marie Moncoeur. And when we helped her back then, we really didn't know what we were doing, and we just put in an application and And next thing we knew, they sent her a card, and she called me and said, Gilbert, I received this card. And that card was a Medicare card with just Part A on it only. And eventually, after a month or two, they sent her another card with the Part A and the Part B. So Marie Moncoeur was with us from the 2000s until she passed. And I believe when she passed was before COVID, I believe. So she was with us for a long time. And so I was the first person that I did that application for, not even knowing what I was doing, and was very successful. But now we know better. We know how to do it. Suzella is a very important part in making that happen. In terms of she's the office expert in doing that. So set up an appointment, and I wouldn't set it up this week, but I'll set up an appointment at the beginning of the year to make sure that we start working on that for you, and so you could have those benefits at the beginning of by next year. You could have your Medicare and Medicaid. Remember, you have to be 65 years old and up, and you have to have resided in the United States for 5 years, and you'll be able to enjoy those benefits. And please don't call me if you don't have a legal status residence in the United States. Okay? And I said in the United States. So you could have just moved down here from Boston and moved down there, and all you have is you didn't work sufficiently. All you have is a green card. Yes, we could work with you. We could work for you. We could make it happen for you. A lot of time when I come on and then we talk about these benefits, and some people out of the blue call and said, "Can I get those benefits?" If the age requirement, if you don't meet the age requirement and the INS status requirement, then we can't help you. So call me 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. Then you could call me, set up an appointment, and then we'll take care of you. Okay? The next 5 minutes, let's also talk about SSI along that same line. For those of you who did not work sufficiently, another way of getting an extra income and also getting the Medicare where the state's going to pay for you is by applying for SSI. Of course, if you apply for SSI, first of all, you have to be a U.S. citizen, and you have to be actually, there's something that I saw recently regarding that. You have to reside in your current area for a certain period of time. Right now, this administration is bringing a lot of things into play which was not into play. But we're not going to promote propaganda. But yes, you have to be 65. Yes, you cannot leave the United States and spend more than 30 days outside the United States. Yes, if you any change that's made in your household, you have to report it within 10 days. And changes mean, like, if you decide, well, now I'm going back to work, then those are the changes that have to be made. And you have to report it. If you decide, well, I'm going back to work, then your next step after you accept that job is go down to Social Security and let them know to stop the check for SSI. Again, you could always reach me at 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885 for more information regarding that. The time is almost up for me. It was indeed a pleasure to come here today, and with the type of information that we did. I think we did a fantastic job in talking to you about the HIV/AIDS situation, the medication, what to expect for the next year in terms of cost of living adjustment, and your prescription drug, what to expect, because the price is definitely going to go up in terms of your copayment, and basically Medicaid. By the way, a lot of the eligibility income limit will increase next year. So more people is going to be eligible to receive Medicaid. So stay tuned. Again, my name is Gilbert Franklin. I could always be reached at 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. I love you guys. A bientôt. Bye-bye.